Good evening.
Yes.
Yeah. We are on now.
Right. Yes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the program. Right. Today on the show, we're going to be having a guest. We're going to ask him to introduce themselves, and then the issue that we're going to be talking about is rule of law versus the rule of men. We are continuing with the issue of constitutionalism, and we're continuing, the discussion on that. And what we want to aim for with these shows is to help conscientize our people, our nation on the different aspects of constitutionalism, how it affects us, and what is our responsibility as a Zimbabwean people and as a citizen when it comes to matters that involves our constitution. Right. So before we get into the conversation, if I may ask you to share this program on your different platforms, share it on your pages, share it on your profiles, and if there are any groups that you belong to, you can also share the program on that group. We are streaming live coming from you. We are streaming coming to you from Checkmark TV. That is on Facebook. We are also on Twitter. Ms. Mawere on Twitter. Where can you find us on Twitter?
Periscope is under a Mawere Twitter page.
Right. So Mawere Twitter page, you can also find us, there. Are we on YouTube as well?
Yeah, we're on YouTube, 1873.
Yes. So on YouTube, we are 1873 on YouTube. So we've got different platforms where we are, broadcasting on. And if you want to visit any of those, you can visit them, the platforms, and watch, the show, from there. But in the meantime, as I said, let us share, the program. Let us get as many people as we can involved in the discussion tonight, and then I think we can have a rich, discussion, via that. I'm going to ask Ms. Mawere to give us also the link, later on into the program, for those of you that want to join us on this particular, show. So the link will be shared in the comment section, and you can come through via that link. And if you want to be part of the discussion, you can be in a position to be making your contribution. My name is Ango Jed. We are here to be discussing the rule of law versus the rule of law. The rule of law versus the rule of men. Those of you guys who know Mr. Mawere, he does not need any introduction. And as for me, I do not need any introduction unless you do not know me. My name is Uncle Jed. I am here on this platform to be engaging with you Zimbabweans. This is a Zimbabwean platform, and all the platforms that we are broadcasting from are Zimbabwean platforms. And we just want to invite everybody to come in and join us in the discussion that we are currently having. Right. Moving on, with the show, we've got a guest tonight. He's coming to you via the telephone. He's on WhatsApp, and I'm going to ask our guest tonight to introduce himself, and then we'll get into the show. Our guest tonight, welcome to the show. I give you the opportunity to introduce yourself.
Mr. Goodman Msariri, based in Zimbabwe, and he is an activist as well, but also in the financial services industry. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mawere, and good evening. Evening, everybody. How are you? I'm fine.
We hear you are a member of ZANU-PF.
Yes, I'm a member of ZANU-PF.
Are you in good standing?
Yes, I am in good standing.
All right, so go ahead. And who is Goodman Musariri?
All right. Yes, Goodman Musariri is a 39-year-old man who is a politician, a farmer, and also an activist, and being a member. And I've got a background in banking. I've got 12 years experience in the bank covering commercial banking, with my last assignment having been at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe before I became a farmer.
Yeah, we have
a politician.
We have an issue on the on constitutionalism within PF. Is constitutionalism a subject matter that people are concerned about?
Yes.
Is it a subject matter that people are concerned about in ZANU-PF?
Yes, the issue of constitutionalism and constitutionality is raised quite a number of issues within the party, although we differ in terms of understanding. But as for us who are informed, who can read and actually research, we've got so many questions and so many conversations raised around this subject of constitutionalism and the constitutionality, especially when it comes to our constitution in ZANU-PF, and we are in particularly worried and always questioning on the application of Section 38, which is
no, maybe before we get there, the courts have found that the ascendance of Chamisa to the position of acting president and prior to that of vice president was ultra vires the constitution. Are you sure that things are okay in ZANU-PF, that your record of upholding the constitution is impeccable?
Yeah, on that one, I think that is the one that has raised quite a lot of excitement, Mr. Especially when we look at the judicial precedent that has been set by the Supreme Court ruling to the MDC and the Chamisa case. I think it is the one that is actually triggering a lot of conversations and also a lot of criticism, where we also want to put the same ruling to the perspective of a situation where upon in November 2017, we also had a session of the Central Committee actually creating a president. And I think that can be likened to the same scenario of the MDC National Council also trying, because we now know that was now in void, trying to come out with the president out of a national council session. So to put the parity or to equate the two, I think that is now a very topical case. It is now a topical case and raising a lot of interest, and which I'm actually saying the issue of constitutionality and constitutionalism has become a very topical issue in ZANU-PF right now.
Ango Jed, any question to Goodman?
Right. Yes. Thank you very much, for that, introduction. And it is quite, interesting that we have somebody, from ZANU-PF coming onto the platform and telling us that this issue has become also topical in ZANU-PF. Can you explain to our listeners and our viewers, right now, what do you mean when you say that this issue has become, topical? Is there anything that has happened, within ZANU-PF that is making, this issue become, topical?
Yes. The constitution of ZANU-PF is quite clear in as far as who actually is a president, and we actually have got a common scenario with the MDC where the Congress is the one that is supposed to elect a president and a first secretary on that matter. So when we want to reflect our own situation as to say what exactly happened for us to have the current president or the current first secretary that we have, we actually want to look at that through the Constitution, and also what section of the Constitution or what transpired from the Constitution, the culmination of the status quo that we have. So it is very clear from the Operation Restore Legacy. I think there was a lot of celebrations and a lot around the removal of President Mugabe. But when people settled down, they are now introspecting and actually reflecting and revising the constitutional application, especially of the relevant sections that apply to the presidency or the creation of the president. And the Supreme Court ruling for the MDC is now the one that is actually triggered now the realization that we have got also to look at our own issue and say, if Chamisa was not a legitimate president, how about our own president? Constitutionalism, it cuts across all political divide. It's a national issue because the supreme law is the supreme constitution or the national constitution of the country, and the other constitutions, like party constitutions, become sub-constitution. So it is very clear that all political parties in the competing forum of presidents or for being a ruling party are major players into this. So it goes without saying. This issue is topical and raising a lot of interest, especially after the Supreme Court ruling. I tell you, it's fireworks. People are questioning all these things and they want answers. And with the factionalism that we have in ZANU-PF and the divisions, the cliques, the confederacies that have been created, obviously all competing forces are putting a litmus test to this one, saying that if the current president, the legitimate president, especially following the Supreme Court ruling, this is quite interesting. Actually, raising issues even with the misinformed and the uninformed.
Yes.
They still want asking the same question: is the president of ZANU-PF right now a legitimate president? Looking at what is happening to them, so it's the president that has created a topical conversation.
So, are you trying to tell us right now, because we know what happened in ZANU-PF when Emmerson Mnangagwa, came into power? We know the processes that took place. There were meetings that were held, the Central Committee meetings, etc., that made decisions that culminated in the appointment of Emmerson Mnangagwa as the first secretary of ZANU-PF. And then after that, we saw the High Court. We saw the judicial processes in Zimbabwe being involved as well, and they made a determination pertaining to what has happened in ZANU-PF. And if my memory serves me right, Ms. Mawere, I want to believe Justice himself, Ms. Malala, was also involved in sanitizing what happened in ZANU-PF and what happened in us ending up with Emmerson Mnangagwa as the president of Zimbabwe. And then we also take a look at what has happened in the MDC, whereby this is something that we've always spoken about, of that judgment. But there was an opinion as well that was, given, pertaining, to that. So I just want, to find out from our guest speaker, tonight, to say, to ask him a question. Had it not been for this judgment that ruled, in the matter, in the MDC matter, were we in ZANU-PF, were you guys having this conversation, or it was only a conversation that was ignited after this judgment involving MDC? And if this judgment had not been there, were we going to be hearing a person like you coming on the program and say, Kuti, there is an issue, there is a constitutional issue raging in ZANU-PF, in as far as the ascendance of Emmerson Mnangagwa is concerned?
Did you get the question?
Hello, yes. Whilst we're waiting, to connect to our guests, tonight, I want to welcome you guys, to the program. I've shared, the program on my profile. It's on Mr. Mchuma Mawere's profile on Facebook as well. So you can go there, you can share, from there, share with with your friends in the groups, where you are. And we are talking today about the rule of law versus the rule of men. And the issue that is taking, center stage, today is the issue pertaining to the Supreme Court, ruling in the matter involving the MDC, party. And here on the platform, we have got a ZANU-PF member was come onto the platform and said that what this judgment here is not only peculiar, or it's not only a judgment that can be looked at on the lenses of it being an MDC involving the MDC as a party, but there is a precedent here that has been set, and that precedent now has actually forced them to look into their own processes as well. And there's a debate that is raging in their party pertaining to the issue of constitutionalism and pertaining to the issue of constitutionality, in as far as how Emmerson Mnangagwa came to be in the position he finds himself in. So that is the conversation that we're having. So we are interrogating these issues, and then so that we see the impact, because you see, we want to believe that this is now bigger than the MDC alone as a political party, but it is an issue that is going to be impacting different associations, be it private associations, be it institutions where they are governed by a constitution, and what not following a constitution, what does it entail to the membership of that organization, and how people in that organization to be able to react. But I see my boy program.
Good evening. How's everybody? How are you, Uncle Jed? How are you, Mr. M?
Thank you very much. Right. Do we have our guest?
There seems to be a problem connecting to Zim.
Right. Okay. So
we're trying to connect with him. Yes. His name is Good Man, or a man that is good.
Good man, yes.
Musariri.
Yes, yes.
A card-carrying member of ZANU-PF, and welcome back, Mr. Musariri. Hello? Hello?
I'm on now, thank you.
Yeah, welcome back. I think the first question was, there was a transfer of power from Mugabe to another. And the people are saying, but the courts, the same courts that were so enthusiastic about the Chamisa matter to give a judgment even under the lockdown seem to have given the beneficiary of that power a clean bill of health.
Mm-hmm.
And that was at the highest chain or point of supply chain of justice. The Chief Justice saw no evil, had no evil, and actually said there was no coup because it was preceded by a resignation by a sitting president. And therefore, there was the right to replace him was vested with the party, and the party came with a candidate, and that was it. And then on the second one, his dismissal from government was a subject of a court action, and the court ruled that it was illegal and unlawful, and therefore invalid, and therefore set aside. It was void. So in the party that has now two judgments post the coup, saying something is wrong. What is your take on the significance of this judgment?
Yeah, the judgment actually provokes the question of equality before the law, because we now seem to see the judiciary giving different rulings over issues that are the same in terms of scope. So it naturally questions if we still have equality of all men before the law, whether they are natural persons or juristic persons. With a big question that we now all have. We seem to have partiality in our judiciary. But however, the same ruling can actually be taken as an opportunity in our judiciary system, as well as in the sense that by way of statements or by setting a new precedent, it actually makes us want to revisit even the made against ZANU-PF cases before, like in 2017. So I think the other one is a blessing in disguise, but we wouldn't want inconsistency in our judiciary. It must remain stable and also efficient and effective in as far as delivering of justice concerned. So it's in two parts. In our case of our ZANU-PF scenario, it's now it is an opportunity for us to test whether the courts can be consistent to the ruling that they give in the Supreme Court case.
Right.
So
once I want to bring in a question. I want to bring in rather a comment that has been put by our viewers, and this one is coming from Clever. He says it appears this guy does not know what happened in ZANU-PF in fulfilling the vacancy left by President Mugabe and to fulfill the constitutional requirement to submit a name to the speaker by the party that is sponsored President Mugabe. ZANU-PF chose a replacement who was elected in absentia through a properly constituted extraordinary Congress. That is not what happened in the MDC case. Care to comment on that? Because according to that comment, our viewer seem to say that everything that happened in ZANU-PF was above board. Why are you putting in a different scenario to what is being put by our viewer now?
Okay, did you hear the question?
Yes, I heard
Okay, just summarizing it.
Yes.
They are saying that there was an extraordinary Congress that President Mnangagwa to replace the late president. First, was there an extraordinary Congress as a matter of fact?
There was no extraordinary Congress. There was a central committee meeting which actually recalled a Comrade Mnangagwa back to the party as a member of this central committee. And it is also a committee that actually removed the president who was Comrade Robert Mugabe. So that is now where our question and the legal question should actually come in now. Can Congress actually remove or even create a president on its own? Is it not a function of the Congress? There was no extraordinary Congress that the viewer is talking about.
So you are saying something that Clever is not saying. So either you are correct or Clever is wrong. So Clever, it's not correct that an extraordinary Congress was held. There was no extraordinary Congress. That's what Goodman is saying. So you may wish to look at your, you can also Google to confirm whether an extraordinary Congress was held. A member of the party who says he's in good standing, he says he's not aware of that extraordinary Congress which ended. So,
yes,
is that correct? Does the Constitution of ZANU-PF provide? Okay, we're trying to connect, and I got a caller from the UK. Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you? How are you?
Not so bad. How are you? Very interesting topic, constitutionalism.
Okay, and identify yourself so that we all can benefit from knowing that you are a human being.
Yeah, I'm a human being, culture activist. My name is Signor.
Or Mr. Senior himself?
Yes.
Okay, do you want to make a contribution?
Yeah, I've been following from yesterday. I think we have now touched the core, and coincidentally, I've been saying, given the chance and resources, I would like to challenge ZANU in 2017. And it's coming as a surprise to me. We are talking about it now because we are talking about rule of law, how it's applied. Because what happened on the MDC judgment, I personally think that the same should apply right across, including ZANU-PF. And hence it's taking us back to the coup, which is not a coup.
Right.
What is your grounds for attacking?
For the challenge, yes.
Yeah, so my grounds for attacking is simple. That what does our constitution say? What is it that was supposed to happen in 2017? Correct me if I'm wrong. The last deputy or vice president is supposed to have taken over. So we have an ambiguous case where we did not have a vice president. In this sense. and correct me again if I'm wrong, that automatically the Speaker of Parliament was supposed to take over, preside, but it did not happen. We did not have a head of state. We did not have a driver for, I think, about 4 or 5 days. And secretly, I repeat, secretly, ZANU-PF, they conducted this so-called Congress that now people are talking about. My question is that, by the way, now because it's in the public domain, it becomes a national issue.
Yes.
If Constitution says who calls for that meeting, who called for that meeting? If my memory serves me right, things were not okay on the party side as well. Mugabe was running the show alone because Secretary Louis Mnangagwa was out of the country.
Mm-hmm.
He was also acting.
So we want somebody who is familiar with the ZANU-PF constitution to assist us with that. It's just unfortunate Goodman is not with us either. It's a Zimbabwean problem where there is a lockdown for the purpose of this show.
But I think the point that he's alluding to, or the point that he's bringing in, it is something that we discussed on the show previously when we brought was it section 38 of ZANU-PF
That's so there's a difference between what Senior is talking about and what Goodman was talking about.
Okay.
Because he's attacking it from the government side.
Uh-huh.
You allowed me to finish. I was now attacking it from ZANU-PF side.
I thought the first thing that you alluded to was the government side.
To say that the speaker was supposed to come in.
Yeah, that's a succession. But okay, go ahead on the party side.
On the party side, I'm also trying to say let's discuss, with an open mind. There were problems also in ZANU because Mugabe was running the show alone at the time when Mnangagwa was in exile. Mnangagwa was the second secretary, if my memory serves me right. So we did not have, that's ZANU-PF side, we did not have the second person to the first secretary to ZANU-PF, who is President Mugabe then. And ordinarily, in fact, the other predicament is that they did not have a chairman. Mnangagwa was also acting, he was doubling as acting chairman of ZANU-PF, and was also doubled the second secretary of ZANU-PF. So ultimately,
are you speaking from a factual point or from a speculative point?
I'm speaking from a factual point. Allow me to finish my point.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying, if I'm wrong, the question that I'm trying to bring across back to constitutionalism, who called for that meeting, that extraordinary Congress?
There was no Congress.
There was no extraordinary Congress. I think that is quite clear.
That's what Goodman said. That there was a purported Central Committee meeting.
Okay, I give in to that, but my point goes back. How did they arrange things? How did they come to appoint Mugabe?
We wanted just the facts of the matter. Then we can then argue. But when we don't have common facts, then it will be premature to argue. What were the facts of the matter? So we can start from the sequence of events.
If I may come in.
Okay, go ahead.
Right, I just wanted to help us understand, along with Uncle K Signoro, with regards to the court issues, the rulings, where the court ruled Mnangagwa's canning or the firing of Mnangagwa as a VP, they ruled that illegal. And they ruled the coup or the ascension of Mnangagwa into. So it was like the court is paving way with a broom, sweeping everything out of the way to make way for legitimization of Mnangagwa using the court, the law.
Just to hold on, we have a member of ZANU PF so that he can give us the facts.
All right. Yeah, I was just doing it while we waited for you, sir. Let's see your cards. I've got my cards somewhere. Let's show our cards.
Yeah, I think let's not, because there are some people who are accused of being ZANU PF and they don't have cards.
ZANU PF. And we're not there.
Your chance to acquit yourself. Were you sleeping while events were unfolding? Were you alert while events were unfolding? What exactly transpired? There was no Congress. And what does the Constitution of ZANU-PF provide for?
Yes, there was no Congress. An extraordinary complex is the former speaker was saying. There was actually a central committee session that happened on the 19th of November, and it is the one that I'm actually very much worried about, because it is the one that appears to act as the Congress in a way that it was a central committee meeting or a session.
No, what is distinguishable between this and MDC? Because in the MDC scenario, we have the National Council meeting to decide who should be the acting president, and the justification was in between Congresses. The National Council is vested with the power to create a president. Do you see anything different from ZANU-PF thinking and from the MDC thinking?
Yes, I do not see anything different, because in the case of ZANU-PF, the Central Committee, even if it was in between Congress, it was not able to create the president or to remove the president on its own, but it was only a duty vested in the Constitution to be done by the Congress. And the president and the first secretary of ZANU-PF is actually the head of the party. And in that sense, he is the one who is actually mandated to preside over the Central Committee. But in his absence, we cannot have a situation where even the Central Committee does an act of removing or creating a president, which is a duty which is supposed to be done by the Congress. And mind you, for an extraordinary Congress to elect the president, he must first of all have been nominated by at least 2 provinces. And even so, he must actually be elected by members nationally, and we cannot say this was going to happen in a central committee session. So to liken this to the MDC one, the National Council of the MDC could not actually create a president. It remains the duty of the Congress. So this is the same one thing that we are talking about, is the duty of the Congress to create this creature that is called.
Okay. Any question on that aspect? I think is again is offline.
Yeah, because one of the questions that because of the issue of this Congress that is being brought up, like what Nkoma Clever says. I don't know whether the reference to the Congress, is he referring to the December 2017 Congress that was held that ratified the decision to appoint Emerson Mnangagwa to be president of Zimbabwe. So I'm not sure whether that is the extraordinary Congress, that is referring to, because remember the issue of
that was the normal Congress.
Yes, but if we go back to October 2010, to October 2017, was what in October? Yes, October 2018, there was the ZANU-PF Politburo actually met, and they discussed the issue of the extraordinary Congress that year, to be held that year.
No, it was it was already a planned Congress.
It was already planned that, they would want to have an extraordinary Congress to resolve the internal issues that were affecting ZANU-PF at that particular moment in time. But what
Clever is talking is the meeting of the 19th November.
19th of November.
President of both the party and government. What Clever is saying, it was a Congress, and what Goodman is saying, it was a purported Central Committee meeting.
That is the accurate position, because it was never referred to as a Congress, but it was referred to as a special Central Committee meeting. It was special. Yes.
So it can't have been Congress at all.
No.
Because of that the argument in MDC papers is that Tsvangirai, when he died, the power to create a president was vested in a similar structure called the National Council.
Yes.
So in that way, these cases are similar. Because the argument was that in between Congress, the Central Committee
becomes
Council can create law, can create anything they want. So on the 15th of February, the day after Tsvangirai died, a National Council meeting was held, which elected Chamisa as acting president.
Absolutely.
Is that good?
Mr. Mawere, can I just quickly come in here? Before me is the ZANU-PF constitution. And if you look at section 26 of the ZANU-PF constitution, it speaks to instances and circumstances that can necessitate an extraordinary Congress. And section 26 subsection 1 of the ZANU-PF constitution says an extraordinary session of Congress may be convened where it has been deemed necessary and at the instance of the majority, number 1, majority of the Central Committee members, number 2, at the instance of the President and the First Secretary, and then an ascension of at least 1/3 of the Central Committee. Then number 3, at the instance of the President and the First Secretary, and at least 5 provinces. Then number 4, and most importantly, in the event of a vacancy, occurring in the office of the national president of the party. So the situation that we are talking of is provided for within the provision of section 26 subsection 1. Because what
which year is this constitution? Because there's one with so many errors, which was the last one of 2014, which was hurriedly done. Is this the one that you're reading off of, or the one that preceded that?
This is
that was ratified
which one
in
is
27.
This is the constitution of ZANU-PF as at 2017.
Yes, it's the same. And of course, we can speak of its preciseness later. But what
these are the issues that are parallel to MDC and so many other constitutions, and so it's important so that as we travel the journey, we highlight these issues that there was, and that there was another.
So this is the constitution that was in place.
Unfortunately, I actually have it in Sunninghill in storage right now. I don't have it on me, but I have it. Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that what I'm trying to say basically is when we interpret the events that happened in November 2017, our authority is our first authority is the ZANU-PF constitution in place. And if we go by what I was reading right now, you actually see that in the office of the president of the party, the first secretary, the
it was vacant on the 19th.
Let me just hold you there. Goodman is saying you are offside. Is any relevant?
No, I mean we all have opinions, and I'm just giving you an opinion.
He's saying that the record is that a central committee meeting was held, not a congress.
Yes. So now what I wanted to say now, Mr. Mawere, is that when we interpret the events that happened in 2017 November, we must then use the authority that is provided in section 26, 27, and 28.
But 26 what does 26 do?
So now I wanted to justify the validity of the Central Committee meeting that was set, because these are instances that call for the convention of.
But you are mixing two things. I think
Central Committee meeting is not in dispute.
You are talking about cross purposes. Lennon is talking about a congress.
Yeah, Central Committee meeting is not in dispute. But even though, if we talk of the date on which it was held, there was no president, there was no first secretary in ZANU-PF. So that's another issue.
So that's another issue. No, Mr. Mawere.
Yeah.
I think it's proper that we unpack the whole scenario and then look at what the Constitution says in respect to calling for Congress, calling for Central Committee meetings, and then the National People's Conference.
There's no dispute. There was a dispute before you came in. Clever was saying there was a Congress. A good man of the party said no. There was a Central Committee meeting on the 19th of November where resolutions were adopted. So the clause that deals with the Congress is irrelevant for the events that occurred.
Can I step up?
No, Mr. Mawere, let's use the legal names here. We're talking constitutionalism. It's moot.
Okay, we can also Google. Maybe let's give a good menu. Was it a Congress or a Central Committee meeting?
No,
wait, Lennon. It's Goodman on the phone. Go ahead, Mr. Goodman.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm fine, I mean, how are you keeping?
Okay, go ahead, Goodman.
Yes, it was a Central Committee meeting, and it is the one that we really need to test, especially if it was duly constituted and if it was also duly convened. Because resolution that tackled issues that should have been raised at the Congress. So what Lennon was actually trying to shift our focus on was trying to go to issues of the Congress, which never happened. They set for a Central Committee meeting, and which also had no president. The president was not present, and by someone else other than the president. So this is the one that we are now saying. It also recalled Comrade Mnangagwa back to the Central Committee and bringing to the Central Committee, which then made the resolutions also to remove the actual president and the head of the party being Comrade Gabriel Mgad. So these are the legal misnomers that we really need to tackle here, which can bring all issues to reality in the same manner that the MDC case was ruled by the Supreme Court. It is the same thing. We need to put a test on the Central Committee meeting of the 19th of November, because it is the one that people think was actually a Congress, when in actual fact it was simply a Central Committee meeting. So
let's just agree. Are you seeing, Lennon? Are you seeing the screen there?
Yeah.
It
says Central Committee resolution.
Of the 20th.
Yes.
And what is the headline there?
Something on the ZANU-PF Central Committee resolutions. Huh?
Yeah, it doesn't say Congress resolutions.
Yeah, and okay.
And when you talk of, and if I can come in just with the one line, if you talk of the Congress on this one, that is actually the misrepresentation we're suffering from. That people are actually representations on the Constitution, and people never bothered to really revise. But when the Supreme Court ruled for the MDC case, I think everybody is awakening. People are revising, and to be honest, is why I said this is now a topical issue, and which has been alarmed by the Supreme Court ruling for the MDC case. And we are talking about the Central Committee, which attempted to remove and which also attempted to create a president, and that is ultra vires, and that is also contra bonus mos, because it's against the moral and against the precepts of the Constitution.
No, but Mr. Mawere,
I totally agree with that. I'm sure finally we have agreed that it wasn't a Congress, but I also have an argument on. So it was not. I also have an argument on Central Committee. We all know that the ruling party was divided. People didn't know what was happening. There are procedures, there are processes to be followed. I would call it was a caucus meeting. I repeat, I would call it was a caucus meeting.
But, Signor, are you a member? Are you at the meeting, Signor?
No, Mr. Mawere, let's progress this way. I wasn't at the meeting.
Let's allow the people who are ZANU-PF to represent the facts so that we can then argue. We don't know whether it was a caucus or faction. The reality is that there was a meeting held on the 19th.
Yeah, allow me to put it this way. Can they explain to us that extraordinary Congress?
Which one?
Sorry. The Central Committee meeting.
Yeah,
hold on, Mr. Mawere. Can they explain to us, was it done procedurally?
That's what Goodman is trying to explain, so that we hear from. We're not stopping.
So allow me to finish my point. Was it done procedurally, and how was the representation, so that we understand, so that we don't assume, so that we understand right. It was a Central Committee meeting or it was a caucus meeting?
No. According to your understanding, were you a member, Goodman, in 2017?
Yes, I was a member. I was actually the chairman of the political district, Mashallah and Central.
You were chairman of the DCC?
Of the district, the political district.
The political district?
The branch, yes.
Okay. Did you attend this meeting? Or you were not a Central Committee member?
Yeah, this is the Central Committee member. And so, if it was going to be a Congress, when of us have been present, I think now we are now coming to the full picture of the story now. You see, this is the Central Committee meeting, which could not have had the quorum in the tenant that Senior was talking about. I think I like his point. the procedures for the Central Committee, I think have been tested that. But just to answer you, this is a Central Committee meeting which could not have the quorum that we are talking about, that could have culminated to the election of any president or the removal of the president also.
Under which authority in the Constitution is a Central Committee meeting held? Which is the specific section, so that Thomas Sangala can go and look at it and we can get on with the Constitution. According to you?
Yes, it's actually Section 38 of the ZANU-PF Constitution, which is the sessions of the Central Committee. That's the one that actually elaborates on the sessions of Section 38.
Okay, Section 38. Do you have the same section, Lennon?
Yeah, Section 38 of the ZANU-PF Constitution, it speaks to the sessions of the Central Committee, and basically it says the president and first secretary of the party, or in his absence, one of the vice presidents and second secretaries of the party, or the national chairperson, shall preside over the meeting of the Central Committee, and at such meetings, they can make decisions of the Central Committee by getting a simple majority, or a majority of the total membership shall form a quorum. So those are the two provisions in Section 38.
Your understanding of it, maybe you can give us your legal interpretation of what that clause says before we ask Goodman.
No, are you speaking to me, Ms. Mawere?
Yeah. I'm speaking to you. What is your interpretation of that clause? Is it a limiting clause or it is a toothless clause?
Yeah, it's a limiting clause in the sense that it provides you particular office bearers who are able to convene over sessions of the Central Committee. So the first person who is able to do that is the president and first secretary. Then the second office bearers who are able to do that are the two vice presidents, or the vice presidents as it says, or the national chairperson of the party can convene over a Central Committee session. And in that session, they have only two powers that are vested in them. The first one being the power to make a decision simply by the consent of a majority, or number two.
You are reading. I'm just saying what is the understanding of the first part of it when it says the president and what?
And the second secretaries.
Yeah, what does it mean in simple language to your grandmother?
It simply means there are particular office bearers who are able to convene over a Central Committee session.
If you want to go simpler for my boy, you would have then said.
Can we get Goodman to explain what is the meaning of that provision?
Yeah, the provision is very clear that the prerogative to preside the Central Committee meeting, or the powers, actually the president and first secretary, who is actually the head of the party. And when it goes on to say, or in his absence, this absence may not have been held or cannot be held in the abstract. It's a form of absence which should be
reported as absent.
Maybe written, or which must actually be after a notice to the president, and because the president and first secretary is the head of the party, and he cannot be absent just in the abstract. So then the two vice presidents, I think they must be having some procedure, which Senior was talking about, which I like. They should have been some procedure of calling this meeting and the honors having been given to the president and first secretary. So for us to then say the vice president or the second secretaries chair this meeting, I think it's very clear that they have been done formally, and it cannot be in either or question with just that the president is not available physically, then it goes on to the vice president in the abstract. But it is a formal way, just like in a company of the chairman of the board and secretaries of that board. But this is quite clear in accordance to the protocol of the meeting. The president and the first secretary is the first point of call, and he remains the head of the party even in his absence. I think Section 45 will actually elaborate more, but this is also the same structure that we are talking about. So if we then look at the actual convening of the meeting that we're talking about, we then want to ask if the Central Committee meeting that took place on the 19th of October was done.
19th of November, sorry.
19th of November was duly constituted. And could it have been constituted if the head was not present? And what are the circumstances that we say constitute to this absence? What is this absence elaborated? Because
it needs to be qualified.
So are we talking of a scenario where some people were incapacitated, a deliberate state of incapacitating certain individuals, such that this Central Committee meeting could go ahead? Because if you are saying that this has to be done with the knowledge of the President, Robert Mugabe, and in the absence of Robert Mugabe, then VP will come in, and in the absence of course, then the chairman will come in and stuff like that. If we
In the formal absence, Uncle Ted. In the formal absence,
yes, in the
qualified absence.
Exactly. Yeah. So in the formal absence, so can we say there was a formal absence of President Robert Mugabe, or the formal absence of the other people that were supposed to be there? Can we reach that conclusion?
The message I'm getting from Goodman, you can correct me. Procedures were not followed. Not followed. There was no president. It was an ambiguous case. There were no two deputies that because the Constitution is talking about. It's very clear. I agree to agree on what is happening here. So this is what I'm trying to find out from Goodman. Thank you, Ms. Mawere said we should find out. Was it not then? Can we not then confirm it was a caucus meeting because procedures were not followed, protocol was not followed. Even the two deputies there.
No, it doesn't say, Senior, it doesn't say the two deputies have to be there. What it says, as I'm hearing from Goodman, that the president at all material times has the right to chair the Central Committee. But if...
I guess you did not get me right, Mr. Mawere. I'm simply saying, in the event that it's not there, formally, either of the two, the vice...
No, you can't... It's not saying that the president is the one who chairs the meeting. In his absence, he will choose from the list given in the Constitution. If he's not available, he would know about the meeting. He would know the... He would know the date and place where the meeting is held. There's nothing. So it's his meeting. The Constitution gives the right to chair the meeting to the president.
Yeah, so
not to the vice president.
We are saying the same thing. I'm trying to maybe what Lennon is saying. Even then, I'm trying to say even then. There were no deputies because he's emphasizing a point that it was procedural. But I'm saying it was not procedural because that this by the president himself.
Yeah,
no, I think Mr. Mawere, can I say something?
Okay, say something. Yeah.
If you look at the letter that Robert Mugabe wrote, that was read in Parliament, his resignation was from his position as president. Number one. Then, if you read the letter that was read by Simon Kayamoyo dismissing Emmerson Mnangagwa, he was being dismissed from government and from his position as vice president. So, these people as delegates of the party, if you look at the procedure that the party as ZANU-PF should follow, you would see that Robert Mugabe had not resigned from ZANU-PF. Emmerson Mnangagwa, in his absence, had not been dismissed and he had not resigned from ZANU-PF. So who of the vice presidents were eligible to convene a central committee meeting was present to do that?
But Lennon, what the Constitution says is that the vice president has no right to convene the central committee. That's
So,
good.
So the authority to convene a central committee meeting comes from the president.
That's
So
right.
the president is not there. He is a pool of people that he can.
He's given by Congress. He's given by Congress people to deputate for him.
In his absence.
Yes.
Yeah. Those people.
And should these people have the power to convene? Section 38 then provides you with the situation that should be in place should the president not be available. President and vice and first secretary should not be available. Either of the two vice presidents can preside over a meeting. If the president, the two vice presidents are not there, the national chairperson can do so. So in the situation of 17 November, 19 November, 2018.
I'm lost now. You're talking about section 38, is that correct?
I'm talking about section 38 and also what is provided in Article 6 of the same ZANU-PF Constitution.
Yeah, let's finish with the 38. This the power to convene with the president, not his deputies or national chairman.
They do have the power, Mr. Mawere.
No, they don't have the power to convene a meeting.
They can act on
me,
behalf of the president.
That's right.
In his absence.
Lennon,
Okay.
Yes, Uncle Jet.
Yeah, we want to agree that section 38.
Hold on. We are together on the unprocedural nature.
Yes.
So don't.
Okay. On the issue of the section 38, everyone here, including you, senior, I think we are agreeing that it rests with the president to convene this meeting, right?
That's right.
Agreeing.
Yes.
Yeah, so, Goodman, is that the correct interpretation from your side as a party member?
That the power to convene a meeting remains with the president, yes.
At all material times, that it is the president who is the person with the power to convene and preside.
Yes, and if you want to look at the consistency of this power of the president, the same president is the one who chairs Politburo, is the same president who chairs the conference, is the same president who chairs the Congress. So when in actual fact is absent formally and he gives this right to the VPs, it is him who still reports to wherever he's supposed to report. It is still the president who has got all these powers. So we must put a difference between absence also with the reporting part. He may be absent formally, but still reports to the relevant organ when the needs arise, because he is the same president of all these organs. There's no one else. And the other part is simply a delegation. And if he's absent, this absence, we are saying that it cannot be in the abstract. It is a formal absence, and with an agenda that is by the president, of course.
Right. So outside of this formal, outside of this formal, is there any way in the Constitution that provides for the convening of a central committee meeting that is not called by the president outside of this formal absence? Is there any way in this ZANU-PF Constitution that says, Kuti, if the president is if the president meets the fate like the fate that was met by President Kagame back then at that particular moment in time, whereby he could not avail himself to call for this meeting, chair for this meeting, even though he was still there. Is there any provision in this constitution that says, Kuti, under such circumstances or other examples of such circumstances, then a central committee meeting can be called by so and so and chaired by so and so?
Yes, I think that's what Lennon was also trying to say when he went to the section 26. But this section talks about the position falling vacant. I think the vacancy of the office of the president or the presidency, even out of the person. Can we say that it's absent in the meeting, then his position is now vacant? So the issue of also of his position having fallen vacant is also not part of our discussion at all. That is the point that maybe I've seen in the Constitution, where the position, maybe when he dies and it falls vacant, or when he absents himself without reasonable excuse, well, that is provided in the general provisions of this Constitution, that if one person absents himself from a meeting 3 consecutive times without a reasonable cause, then that position falls vacant. But you will still see that it is not applying to the session of the Central on the 19th of November. It had not fallen vacant, and the president was not even said to have been absent in terms of being a formal absence. No, it was an absence in the abstract. The president probably been put in a you cannot say if a president is put in somewhere and he cannot attend the meeting, then we say he's absent. We want to test for that. Where was he when we say that he was absent? If he was able to do the Asante Sana conference with the ZBC shortly after or before, would we really expect to have been absent in this central committee?
U.S. Congress.
Right. So, Lennon, what did you want to say? Because you made reference, was it section 6 or section 27? Section 26.
Yeah. No, Uncle, I wanted to correct the position that section 38 actually provides that the president and first secretary of the party, or in his absence, one of the vice presidents and second secretaries of the national chairperson shall preside over the meeting of the central committee.
Preside, not convene. Preside.
So preside. This is section 38. And when they preside over the central committee meetings, decisions of the central committee shall be by simple majority, number 1. Then number 2, a majority of the total membership shall form quorum. So I'm trying to say 19 November 2017, there is a central committee meeting that set, and this central committee meeting was in the absence of the first secretary and the president of the party.
No, it wasn't, Lennon. That's what we've just spent the past 20 minutes clarifying and defining and quantifying what absence means. Absence meant that the president would have needed to say, gentlemen and ladies, meeting is going ahead, but I am unable to attend. So the people so and so preside over this meeting on my behalf in my absence. So anything after that becomes moot. I'm loving legal lingo. It becomes more. Akutina,
You can give the
I
chance.
I think I might bring you point it. It's I think Lennon understands what Goodman and Newton are saying. They are saying the president can only absent on something that he knows about.
And can I add something so that we leave it no stone unturned, so that it should well.
Yeah.
Can I go ahead?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just to give the benefit of doubt to Lennon. If you go to section 44 of our Constitution, if you got it right now, on Article 9. Are you there, Lennon?
Yes, he's here. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, on that point, you look at section 44, which is just one sentence. I think I can read it for the benefit of everybody. There shall be a president secretary who shall be the head of the party. And the functions of the president are actually elaborated on section 45, which says that the president and first secretary shall be the chief exponent and defender of the party, its constitution, policies, leadership, and disciplinary principles, and reports to the Central Committee on behalf of the political group, and reports to the National Congress and National People's Conference. I think that also gives you a picture of who we are talking about as the president and the first secretary of the party, being also the head of the party. And if you go to Article 1 of the Constitution, it actually tells you that this is the head of the party who keeps the soul of the party. So he has got these powers vested in him. And to agree with Miriam, he has got to delegate. If he's absent, he actually tells you clearly, and he is fully aware of the agenda, and he is actually in the full picture of those who have confirmed that they are going to attend. Remember, there's someone who was going to actually count the people who have absent so that they feel that the quorum is now and all that stuff. We are going to test all that. But the way that Miriam said that I liked so much is the word preside and being different from the word convene. Being duly convened.
Right.
I think let us bring in a fresh mind here. We've got Ngoma Zed, who has joined us. Ngoma Zed, welcome to the program.
I'm good, Agos. How are you? How are you guys, everyone? How are you?
Here. Yeah, I see you were commenting there, and you were eager to someone, and
couldn't type enough. I couldn't type enough.
Opportunity, yes.
Okay, thank you. It's a very good debate, but we have to put it in context.
Right.
Yeah. We're dealing with constitutionalism. Yeah. Zimbabwe's got Zambia's got a constitution. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have to understand that the constitution that it was built up since the late 80s. Yeah. To concentrate all power to the executive, because he has to mirror the constitution that we've got. Yeah. That means there is nothing that happens. That means there is nothing that happens on that constitution without one person saying so. Yeah. That's what the constitution of ZANU is. Yeah. It's a one-headed monster. Yeah. Same as almost, I'll say, other constitutions are a little bit diluted. Yeah. But that one is concentrated on top. When we get to this one, the topic that we're talking about, yeah, we have to have that in context and say to ourselves, at this moment that we're trying to define a coup using a constitution. Yeah. Actions came first before legal thought happened. Yeah.
Yes.
Legal thought came after to cover up the actions that were illegal.
Yes.
Yeah. Because you have to remember that ED was removed from not even from government, but from his own party. He was partyless.
Yes.
Yeah. So if he was partyless, that means when he turned around and called the army to come on the ground, yeah. According to Zimbabwe Constitution, you cannot call that without that one head signing that off. Yeah.
Yes.
That qualifies it as a coup now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But according to qualifying to the coup static rules, there is no static country that can do a coup. It's impossible. Yeah, everyone turns against you. So now they had to cover up the actions. Now, yeah. Now they have to come in. The question that we have to ask ourselves is, who then invited it in ZANU?
No, but Mr. Dube, what are we discussing? I thought we were discussing here.
The Constitution.
No, the Central Committee meeting of the 19th of November 2017.
That is useless.
No, I'm saying that's what we are discussing. There are many people not like you.
Yes, but this is what I'm trying to explain. That the Central Committee meeting is useless because it comes after the actions.
No,
right.
A cover up.
They were trying to legitimize. I get what you're saying. They were trying to legitimize an illegal action after the fact.
Yes, so you cannot we cannot then discuss the illegal act without discussing what the illegal act was.
What it was all for.
Yes, because the moment we start to ourselves and say
the coup is not in the Constitution.
No, there is no coup in any Constitution.
No, whether there's coup or not, the Constitution is what we are discussing. What does it provide for?
Yes, that's why I'm saying.
Can we finish that discussion so that
let me jump into it. We are discussing the committee meeting, yeah?
Yeah.
It's simple. There is no point to discuss it. The first secretary was not there. So there is not supposed to be any committee meeting.
That's all.
There's nothing to discuss.
One-liner.
Yes, then the question becomes.
No, I think you're getting it wrong.
Yes, go on.
How so?
Yes.
The constitution of the party provides for instances that a central committee meeting can be set and presided by certain office
what section of that constitution?
What is
okay, let me check here in the constitution, but the constitution provides for instances where a valid meeting.
Give us the
before I
can you get a proper section? Then let's talk to the authority in the Constitution.
That's what part of the Constitution.
I can't look for something that I do not know what section it is. But only thing I'll say, can I say something? Can I say something? Can I say something?
So guys, our time is coming to an end.
Can I say this, Mr. Mawere? Well done. Can I say this? Every constitution, has to have a head imprisoned every single time. If a president turns around and gets ill, sick, or passes away, or is absent, every constitution says someone has to step in. There's supposed to be a head every single time. Yeah.
No, let's talk to the Constitution, not every.
No, every constitution does that. This is why we
have specific.
ZANU-PF constitution does that. They have to be. There is
section.
Which section?
Yes.
Yeah, of the ZANU-PF constitution.
The section that talks about the passing, the absence of a president or a press secretary. Yeah.
Can we give Zed the constitution? You can Google it. We can send you the.
I keep constitutions. I read constitutions for fun.
No, Zed, I think let me assist in what part of this exercise is literacy, because we want us to understand what is at play. if you had an opportunity to listen to our conversation yesterday, we were saying what is the difference in what is happening in MDC-T, MDC Alliance, and what has happened in ZANU-PF. Is it a Zimbabwean issue where constitutions are disregarded, and then after the fact we try to legitimize? So it's also to look at specifics, because if we're going to say this Ajinabasa, this it's not relevant, we want to know why is it not relevant, should it be thrown out?
If you want to know that, you are starting in the middle. What you have to do is start at the beginning of all this. Yeah, the beginning of all this is you have to ask yourself a simple question: why did the boys in ZAPU move away to create ZANU? Yeah.
No, I think that's a different matter.
But let's talk about that.
No, it's a constitutional
very
matter.
Pertinent issue you raised.
It's a constitutional matter.
This part 2 was continuing on constitutionalism and constitutionality. So
Okay.
for the sake of flow, that is a very pertinent issue of the history of the Zimbabwe and its laws. So let's have you liaise with Uncle Jet, and let's table that for a discussion fully. But let's concentrate on, because we have a special guest to address these specific issues.
Okay.
So let's respect his
Can I put
time.
a question on, then I'll leave? Yeah.
Yes.
If you agree with me that you have
Goodman, just hold on. There's a question. Let's
I'll put you a simple question. Who was in charge? Yeah. Of the party? Who was the head of the party on that meeting that you're talking about?
All right, Goodman. The question is, who was the head of the party?
Yes, the head of the party, it was still immutable, it was unchangeable, and there was nothing that had changed. That it was the comrade Robert Gabriel Mugabe who was the head of the party at that time.
When they took him, when he resigned, yeah.
No, this
was before the resigning.
When it was on the 19th, he resigned on the 21st.
This is what I'm going to the 21st. When he resigned, according to the constitution of ZANU, who was meant to take over for a period of 1 year.
Okay.
That's probably part 3 of this program. But where we are at is the constitutionalism and the constitutionality of the events that took place 19th, and whether it actually was legitimate to have that. And that's where we're discussing section by section to understand what was supposed to have happened. Did that happen?
No,
so if it didn't happen,
can I just say something, Mr. Mawere? Mr. Mawere.
Yeah.
So if you look at section 37 of the ZANU-PF Constitution, it speaks of the powers and functions of the Central Committee.
That's
so
right.
it is about 8 listed functions of that committee.
Yeah.
And one of them is that they should meet once every 3 months for ordinary sessions. But should there be any special circumstances, the Central Committee can meet on an extraordinary session to make decisions that are listed on the functions and whatever of the Central Committee above, which I cannot speak of right now because I'll be deviating. But what I'm trying to say is that the meeting that was set on the 19th, if you read the resolutions that were made,
it was unconstitutional. It was not convened by the rightful persons.
No, can I finish my comment? Can I finish my comment? My comment was going to be that it nullified the expulsion of President ED, who then was the second secretary.
There was no meeting. What Miriam is saying, they did not have a meeting.
No.
Because all
I'm trying to say,
see, all this, I think, it goes back, it goes to what, the judgment in the case of to say good thing, everything was done by Chamisa It's a non-event because he was not.
Yes, mugwara remsangano.
Senior wants to ask a question, just let's hear.
Right.
I want to wear your shoe, Lennon. The question here,
Yes, sir.
constitutionalism. Given the circumstances 37 that you are trying to take us through, who
Yes.
convenes the meeting?
Trying to use as disinfectant.
Let's have good menu.
Yeah, I wanted to just before Lennon, but I think Lennon is trying to defend something that is already now in point. But do you also guys agree that but Gabriel Mugabe at the end of these central committee meetings for 37 years, and this is the only central committee meeting that is a problem, or that we are discussing to have some legal misnomers and all these contra bonus mores in terms of law and constitutionalism. We must actually come to a point where we examine the merit of this particular central committee to say, why could it have come in this way when he at the end of all the central committees for 37 years? And on this one, what's so extraordinary about it was
Before his resignation. Mm-hmm.
He was under house arrest.
So you see, there is a very clear trend that
Why are you pushing around the bush? He was under house arrest. That's why he couldn't convene the meeting.
No, that we know that. What
So
we are talking
why are you trying to make sense about something that is clear, Mr. Mawere? Yeah? The guy that was supposed to convene the meeting could not talk, could not speak, could not move. Yeah? We are trying to convene a coup and put constitution into it for fun.
you were supposed to be absent.
Yes. But now there's no. But this is when it gets interesting. You are supposed to be absent. Yeah? Hold on. You are supposed to be absent. Now Popo should have been now the acting. But in Popo as well.
No, that's not what the Constitution says.
That's
though.
what the Constitution
This
says.
is where the Constitution matters. And if they are going to fix the Constitution, then that's where it comes, because it says preside, and presiding and convening are two different things. I'm sure there are central committee meetings that Mugabe was absent from, but still took place with his blessing as the first secretary.
We have to understand his absence. His absence, he was almost dead.
Yes, we agree on that. We have
could not
to.
talk.
It has to be quantified and qualified.
And according to the constitution of ZANU-PF, now the second secretary.
It wasn't. It's not quantifying.
No, it says that. That's what it says.
The Constitution.
The second secretary now has to act on the behalf of
under normal circumstances, or under normal circumstances, you say, had Robert Mugabe become incapacitated,
yes,
we know Emerson Mnangagwa had been charged out, and then Mpoko was the one, was also there. If Mpoko was there, if he had not run away, to Botswana,
yes,
then we will say that in the absence of Robert Mugabe,
yes,
Mpoko now, comes
in the incapacitation.
Yes. But this is where the problem started. Because Mpoko ran away as well.
Gentlemen, I have to go, but thank you so much. Everything you are going to discuss after I leave the conversation is moot. Thank you.
My boy, let us wrap it up before you go.
All right. Just I have a call in 3 minutes. Yeah.
Good man. Exactly. Talk is cheap.
Yes.
And
Right.
and bullshit has well been on this show a lot of times. Who want to talk and they do nothing.
Yes.
What is your intention for coming to this show?
Yeah, the intention is actually to raise an awareness of the interests that are now in the generality of ZANU-PF members. The members are worried, and I wanted to gather a lot of information from diverse persons, so that we see what people think, and also allow contra-mindedness to sharpen my feeling about the matter. But we would really need to take this forward, and we are not just going to end from talk, but we are actually amassing information which is going to help us to file papers at the courts in the same manner that the MDC did. Their case was heard before the courts.
So you want to be the equivalent of Mashavira.
But you know what, Mr. Mawere,
yeah,
I think the other person on the line might need to remember that if you go through the resolutions that were agreed upon, to me it makes sense, because ED was fired end of October 2017. And then there was a 2 weeks of dramatic events that we had never seen in Zimbabwe. And what this Central Committee meeting did was to validate the appointment. First, it dismissed Robert Mugabe as its first secretary and president.
But are you talking about Lennon? Are you talking about the Constitution, or you are talking about the thinking?
No, I meant to make a comment to say, in as much as the succession,
there are two positions. Goodman is saying that the meeting never took place, and therefore all the resolutions and action that follows are invalid.
Are now in void. They are now in void.
Hear him. He is relying on Section 38 of the Constitution of ZANU-PF to arrive at that conclusion that the president of the party has to know and has to preside over a valid meeting. In his absence, he will then select any of the three people designated by Congress, by the Constitution. If none of them are available, there is no meeting.
No, I think, Mr. Mawere, that is where I differ in opinion. Because what I was trying to, I differ in opinion.
Valid.
The meeting was valid, and should you approach our courts for an order of declaring the non-validity of the same, I think there is a way in which you can validate.
I'm saying is your argument, which you want to provide, that outside the Constitution a meeting can be held.
No, I think this meeting is provided within the ambit of the Constitution, and whatever, and that's what I want to,
the authority.
And that's what I want to explain, Mr. Mawere.
We've been struggling to get the authority. So maybe tomorrow, can you give authorities?
And I've given you 37. 37 of the ZANU-PF Constitution provides for instances where a valid Central Committee meeting can be set. And I'm saying the meeting that set in 2017 of November and passed those resolutions was a valid meeting, and whatever resolutions that they made, the only, if you read the end of those resolutions, one of which was that in the December extraordinary Congress that was going to be set, these resolutions were ratified. And what happened in November 19 was that these resolutions were passed, one of which was to dismiss Grace Mugabe as the secretary of the Women's League, Robert Mugabe dismissed as the first secretary and president, raising President Mnangagwa under paragraph 4, subsection 14, to the office of president, the national president, giving ED the position of first secretary and first and the president of the party, on account that Congress that was going to sit in December would ratify
those and make him also the presidential candidate in 2018.
And to make him the presidential candidate in the election that was going to follow in 2018. So, number one, your starting point is to check whether or not the meeting that set was properly convened. I think it was. Number two, did it have quorum? ZANU-PF Central Committee has 300 members. Number one. In that meeting, 201 members of the Central Committee were present. Quorum was met. Number three, according to section 37 that I read earlier, 38 that I read earlier on, who had the power to preside over that meeting? It's provided the first secretary was not present, the vice presidents, one of which was not present, but the national chairperson.
Lennon, can I ask you a question? Can I ask a question, Lennon?
Yes.
Who elects?
There was no national chairman here. Lennon.
Hold on, Mr. Moyer.
The chairman.
Can I ask a question?
This is why Impofu ended up in chairing.
Yeah, can I ask a question to thingy? Who elects the two vice presidents in the constitution? Who elects the two secretaries in ZANU-PF?
They're elected from, at Congress, huh?
Yes. And who elects who elects the vice president? According to the Zimbabwe Constitution,
Congress by the delegates of that Congress.
No, let's check who elects a vice president in terms of the
two vice presidents and second secretaries appointed in accordance with the unit accord by the president and the secretary.
Okay, thank you. So they are appointed by the president and the first secretary of ZANU-PF, yeah? Who elected ED after he was kicked out? Who brought him in when the first secretary and the president was in hiding?
It was the Central Committee meeting.
But when the Central Committee does not elect the vice president or the president,
it cannot create or remove a president. You know,
yes, course.
The Congress who gives powers to elect. It's the Congress that elects the president and also gives powers to the appointment of the vice president, not the Central Committee. And I clarified earlier that even though this matter was go to the Congress, ED was supposed to be nominated by at least two provinces. I think that's made clear on the same section that we're talking about. He must have been nominated by at least two provinces and elected nationally by all members. So we never had contestation in ZANU-PF from 1980 Congresses. So some of these things might have skipped quite a number of people. That's why we want to align our constitution to just.
But Zed,
I think
we've got past our time, because this back and forth, we might not end up reaching the conclusion that we want to be. So I don't know, it's up to you guys, but I was of the opinion that we reconvene again. We tackle this issue again tomorrow within a set guidelines to say we want to be discussing this topic within these guidelines, so that everybody who's going to be coming here has got a clear focus as to what exactly it is that we want to achieve out of this. Because at the end of the day, we might just end up talking and not end up bring up an outcome that we might say it was a worthwhile outcome that we sat here for the past 1.5 hours for. So it is my humble opinion to say that we end, this meeting. We then, reconvene, tomorrow. But, before we do that, everybody will be having a clear framework of the discussion and how we want, this discussion, to go.
No, I think that's
thank you. And
yes. So yeah. So on that note, Goodman.
Marcy says we need another moderator except yourself. There are people who always come say we need this, we need that. When it's open, the platform business. If you are available to moderate, say so and do so. Not yet monopolize anything, but we are here just to open conversations. And today's conversation was really about constitutionalism. What does the Constitution provide for? Let's talk to the Constitution. I can moderate. No, moderate the show, not me. I don't need moderation. Let us do the right thing. The Constitution, what it provides for. Already we have two versions of the same Constitution. And Lennon is leading his version with authorities in his own mind. Then we have who is relying on Section 38 to say no meeting took place on the 19th. Could not have taken place. And this is what we need. And Marcy, the conversation is open. It's about constitutionalism. Let's look at constitutions. Let's study them and understand what this judgment means. Because all it says, the Constitution did not provide for anyone other than Congress appointing a deputy. And anyone other than a deputy stepping into the shoes of a vacating president. That's all it says. There was no politics in it. There was nothing but interpretation of the facts. So let's look at the facts. Goodman, thank you. And we didn't finish with you to get to the next stage of, with information. Where have you been? And what do you intend to do? Has the Supreme Court judgment provoked you to do something? If so, let's meet tomorrow with Marcy, the moderator, so that we have women, because already we are not gender sensitive. So Marcy will be to be able to steer this with Ango Jet so that I can retire.
No, yeah, it's fine. Right. So Mkoma Goodman, let us make a date again, tomorrow. And then, we will see where we'll go, with this. And I want to thank you very much, Mkoma Lennon, for coming through. Mr. Mawere, thank you very much for coming through. Mkoma Goodman, thank you very much, for coming through. Until tomorrow, guys, we'll say, good night to you. Thank you very much.
No, good night. Good night.
Good night.